Good idea and well thought out.
And then, yeah, it was a good.
Sorry, gotta keep it moving.
So I'd like to call this meeting of the Veronica Valley Park Committee to order. Chairman's choice, we've got enough to go through, and we're going to be pledging ourselves next meeting, so we'll skip the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll go to roll call, please.
Mr. Behrens?
Present.
Mr. Christensen?
Present.
Mr. Popa?
Here.
Mr. Walter?
Present.
Approval of agenda. Any late additions?
Move to choose or to approve the agenda as presented.
Support?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dave?
Public comment? I see none, so we'll move on. Approval of minutes from our August 4th meeting.
I don't have any.
I'll make a motion that they be approved.
I went through them, I was satisfied, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Aye. John Pope, I guess it's start with you. Any update on the culvert?
The culvert, they're still paving roads, and they probably won't get at the culvert yet for a few weeks, but they still plan to do it. I talked to them yesterday, maybe in October. They like to wait for nasty weather and rain, stuff like that. Right now, they're working on roads.
Makes sense. Is there a chore when that shorter culvert goes in, so we have a narrower entry? Is there work that we're gonna have to do? I mean, the county, Scott, some of us, somebody?
If you're talking about whether we go in that ditch, we'll probably put some reflectors right there, and that's about it for now. We'll pave it next year, hopefully.
Remind me, does that paving involve curbing?
I didn't hear you.
Does the paving involve a curb at the entrance?
Correct, the paving, if we do that entryway, we'll install a curb. For, when we're done with the culvert, we'll probably just put reflectors there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hazard, because people are so used to swinging in to the giant entrance. Double up on those reflectors. The county's got a lot of them, county road, right?
Yeah, we'll make sure it's safe.
Excellent.
Do we know anything about Elmer's progress beginning work on the fishing walkway?
I talked to Josh yesterday on another site. He was grilling me about the permit. He said, "Are you doing the permit?" I said, "Yes, I am. Yeah, I need to do that." I'll get the app.
The contract has been returned.
So they're all set to go. He said in about 2 weeks.
Hey, Steve, the one thing I liked about a last comment other weeks was how you said the best time to grow grass is the first week of September. So I was hoping they would get it done so we don't just have to put in a dormant seed.
Right, and usually one element of the mixes that they use has annual rye in it, which comes fast.
Okay.
I did a seeding in my orchard last year, first week in October, and we had a pleasant week or two, and it popped up nicely.
Good.
So I'm hopeful.
Good.
I forgot about that permit. Soil erosion permit you gotta get them.
Right.
Is that a complication?
No, it's not at all.
Oh,
I can-
okay.
I can do the application in 10 minutes, and then I walk it up to accounting, and they pay for it.
Do you need a sketch?
That'd be helpful.
I'll get you one at the end of the meeting.
Perfect.
You probably want to attach it to it or something, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yep.
Hopefully, they don't do it at the same time the culvert gets replaced. That's what I gotta make sure. We'll have the culvert tore out and then Elmer's will show up that morning or something.
Well, they have 2 weeks. He said 2 weeks, so, and you said October, so that is about 2 weeks.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm getting close. About the same time your permit will be done.
I've already approved it in my head.
John, have we, in terms of the walkway, have we moved, or whoever is moving the timbers from road commission over to Veronica? I mean, they'll be there to be put in place this year?
Well, they've been there for,
On a trailer sitting there.
Oh,
and I went by it just now, someone threw them all off the trailer because they needed the trailer for something.
I don't know. Yeah, I saw them yesterday when I went through.
Anyway, the timbers are there and they got enough to sort through, and when they're done, they're talking about the timbers that go around the edge,
curbing,
curbing,
call it, yeah.
but they're all set.
Okay. Moving on, let me bring this up right now. Mike Smith there indicated that a box spring and a mattress has been dumped on the side of Maple Valley Road at the park. Is that something?
We'll have to pick it up. Yeah. It was late yesterday, or last night when I went through, dark, and I didn't, was in my wife's vehicle, so he said, yeah, so I've got to that yet today.
But that is something that
We're gonna have
we,
to
the
do.
county,
Yeah. The only way we'd find out who it was is going on a DNA test, but we're not gonna go that far, you know, who's
Oh, no.
who's used it. so,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can take care of that. Okay.
You know, that kind of brings to mind the fact that the planning, community development, which is a department that oversees several different functions such as solid waste and planning and all that other, they recently, with recycling funds, purchased a number of cameras for all the recycling sites. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to check with Trudy on how much those were, and maybe think about incorporating one for each park. So that way you would, I don't know if you have a lot of illegal dumping.
we have in the
Once
past.
a year, yeah.
Oh.
Kind of get an idea of how much she had to pay for those and maybe talk about it. Sometimes if you see there's a camera there, it's a deterrent. And you don't even have to worry about it,
Yeah.
you know? That's what they're hoping with the recycling sites.
We've talked about cameras at park locations several times.
Yeah.
It's come up kind of repeatedly.
The technology has evolved to the extent that you can actually have the video uploaded to the cloud, and then you don't even have to get into the camera.
That's a lot different than the last time that we.
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
talked
say
about
that
it.
again?
The video will automatically upload to the cloud, and then you can access the video. But yeah, check with Trudy.
Yeah, I guess the biggest, well, one of the biggest things is who looks at it when kind of thing. So you'd have to go around and around on that a little bit just to figure out who's going to be in charge of it, and how they're going to maintain it.
Well, you probably only have to look if there's an issue.
Yeah,
You know.
probably. It still takes somebody, but
Yeah, somebody would sort through, or I don't know, make sure it's working, or I don't know, once a week check in, or, I mean, there's going to be something.
Yeah, it's an idea.
And then once it's there, yeah,
Jerry, do you know anything about this? Scott had indicated to me that he had at least got the plans together to create a storage frame for whether it's the plastic dumpsters or something bigger where the lid can only be opened about yay wide. You can put handheld trash through, but you can't open it big enough to dump things I've seen in there.
Nothing's been decided yet, but he mentioned it, and we started to discuss it, but something came in. But I can check with him when I see him today, once I deliver the stuff.
I wonder how much construction's involved in that. I mean, time and everything else.
It's just material, of course, and it wouldn't be, you'd want it big enough, of course, they have to access it to when they're dumping it.
Yeah, that's why there's some issue with it. I didn't know. I know we've gone round and round on this before. I'm not sure we ever really came to a firm answer. Do we need the waste disposal bins there?
Good question. Were they all removed from Old Settlers?
Yes,
So Old Settlers is without at this point, except for events when a dumpster is there, right?
when they rent one, or like Old Settlers Picnic, usually Scott had, or I don't know who does it now, but would have a 6-yard brought in for that weekend, 4 6-yard, but that's something I'll discuss with him on that, see. That's, like you said, how can at Veronica, how can the man with the truck, access it, or are they willing to get out of the truck, or they just want to pull up? And I'm not sure how they do it there, because I've never seen the truck dump it. But I don't know if the gentleman gets out and, wheels it over to his truck and then grabs onto it. And I'm not sure, especially in Maple Valley, because I don't think he can pull in there. It's not big enough for a big truck to pull in for that one tote.
I was thinking I had seen one dumped there, watched it,
Okay,
but that was a while ago. I mean,
yeah.
prior years.
Trying to get into that little park area where the driving range is on Maple Valley I don't pick that huge truck in there. I don't know.
I don't know.
Now that you mention it.
No, I haven't. I personally haven't opened the lids to look to see if we're still having erroneous materials dumped.
Yesterday, I know they were dumped. I was there taking water samples, 4 o'clock yesterday, and of course the wind had blown one over. And only a few items. The other one was empty, so I'm not sure of the day that they emptied.
Oh, okay.
But that is a good question. Good idea too. Keep them from chasing them into the woods, into the swamp and
I don't know, I just saw that a number of national parks are removing all of their waste containers because it's just a pain in the neck, or at least trimming back a whole lot of them.
Where was the mattress set dumped next to the
Maple Valley
garbage?
Road.
Was it
It
next
was
to the
between the
garbage?
driving range and the covered bridge, right? I think it was.
But it was right on the road.
It was just in the right of way.
Yeah, that's what Mike told me. It wasn't in the park.
Okay.
It was on the right of way.
Was it 2.5 rods from the center, John? 32 feet, 33 feet from the center line to the edge is County Road.
Oh,
Yeah.
16.5 rods?
33 feet.
Yes.
16.5 rods.
It's 66 foot right away and 33 feet from the center line.
But we'll get it.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts about maintaining the trash containers there at all? I mean,
Well, it's
seems
kind
like
of
it's
interesting, there definitely is a need, at any park to have a container. There's, we provide a plastic bag for the people that are walking their dog with leashes, of course, so that they can pick up the excrement. And it'd be nice to have a place for them to be able to put that.
Yeah.
But, and then, you know, kids, I don't know. It just seems like there's a pretty good need for
Yeah,
it.
it does. I mean, that seems
It can
almost,
be abused pretty easily, and we all know that.
Yeah, my comment on is that the small hand ones can take care of what Steve's talking about. And if we have the big ones that come in, they seem to be susceptible to the large things like, you know, somebody doesn't know what to do with their mattress, so they put it in the big container.
well, and we've had the problem even in the small plastic ones. The incident last fall when I opened the top just to look and check, and there was a bathroom vanity, the plumbing, and the top panel from a toilet tank dropped in there, so. No, it seems, I don't know, Steve, I agree. It seems like we have to offer some place to put your trash. And if we have problems, we're gonna have to solve it some other way. John, have you had any sense, because you go there?
For the last 3 years, I've spoke up on this, and I'd get rid of them all. I spoke up on this many times since I've been on park, and I'd get rid of them all. I don't see any need for us to take care of the garbage when someone comes there. They got dogs, they carry it and take it back to their car. I've been down in Veronica Valley more than once. The last guy I caught there, he was nice and took his stuff out. The other ones, I just turned their names in to the detective, and he took care of it. But they're abused left and right.
Have you checked any this year?
Have I checked on it this year?
Well, have you opened a lid just circumstantially when you've been
I
there?
only did it once.
Because I've only done that a couple of times and I have not done it this year.
I go down to the Bingham one probably more often than Veronica. There they got 2 for some reason. And there they should just have a wastebasket. But there are all kinds of renters there fill those 2 things up. I'd like to see a sign if we're gonna do anything about bathrooms and pavilions. I like to see signs. Signs help, and also cameras, whether they work or not. I've got a motion detector camera, and it just says, look at it and smile, you know. Got one by my deer blind and by my cabin, and they work fine. The cameras don't work,
But the effect is there, yeah.
and if you ask any person about security, when I worked for the power companies and stuff, signs and stuff mean more. That's the biggest deterrent. If there was something on your car that says do not touch, you know, electronically, blah, 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 you aren't gonna touch that car. If it's written right on there. But whatever. If it was my
So you think
If it was
it's,
my park, I'd get the things out of there.
and then signage that says you're responsible to pick up your own trash, do it? That kind of signage?
No signage that says you're on video, don't dump personal trash
Okay.
in here. Or household trash or whatever.
Is there a fine?
Is there one?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
I don't think
asking.
so, but that's what I would do.
Because that would be the biggest deterrent.
It is a big deterrent if there's signs.
What I just meant as far as there being repercussions if you get caught.
A fine or a ticket
Yeah.
or something.
And usually that kind of stuff is written on it. You're on camera, for public act, such and such and whatever. No dumping of household waste. I found someone dumping brush in there. I said, what are you doing? Well, I don't have any place to put it. Don't make your problem mine, and anyway, those are just stories.
How many different spots at Miles Kimmerly are there dumpsters? I mean, we have 2 at Veronica, one on Maple Valley, one in the other
Right.
parking lot.
Nothing at the 4-H. Just the 2 that I know of at Miles, 2 or 3. I can't answer that right now. I didn't pay attention when I was there yesterday.
But that's 2 or 3 locations, or?
Just
or-
one location.
Okay. Well,
The main road going into the park.
Why don't I follow Laurel's suggestion and check with Trudy about the costs here? Because then we're talking about, if there are no waste containers at Old Settlers, then we're talking about 3 cameras possibly.
I'm against spending money on real cameras, because no one's gonna look at the film or anything else. If I did anything there, I'd have a camera that shot, a game camera or something. Just looks right there. Who's gonna go check those real cameras? I don't know. Those are expensive.
Well, that's,
Check with Trudy.
yeah.
She's got all the specs.
What was that?
Trudy has all the specs. Yeah. In fact, the cameras are installed.
Are they installed?
hmm
And that's at all the recycling?
They had a mixture of fixed cameras, and there were 2 different kinds of cameras that they purchased. So Trudy has all the information on that.
And just having those cameras with signs there,
Would probably do it, I agree.
If the
it
camera,
doesn't, you know,
if the camera works or not,
right,
yeah.
but anyway.
Well, since, was it planning department or solid waste board or whoever that purchased those for the recycle centers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me find out from Trudy what those costs are, then we can, the whole commission can look at it as well, but.
Can you also quiz her a bit on use, maintenance, and retrieval, and what their plan is for using them?
Yeah, I would do that, yes, as well as cost.
Excuse me, I don't know, solar would be, that even if you had not a fake camera that had a solar panel similar to, your lights, that would make sure the little red light on the camera lights up at night. I mean, there's just, because anybody, like you said, with a sign, you see a camera, they don't know, but if there's a red light, especially the, small red light, they know it's live. Okay, I'm just saying that I don't know if they make those or not, but it's just a question for Trudy. But that's a biggie, just a small little solar thing. And I mean, the stuff used for the sensors for the, the lake, it's not that big. But when you see a light on the camera, well, first thing I mind is it's live. I mean, it's just an idea, deterrent. Cameras would be a good idea.
Do we know anything about the processing or whatever of the latest ortho photos?
I don't know.
Yeah. John, by chance, have you spoken? No, I haven't either.
And Trudy would know that as well.
It makes sense, Dave. The solars does make sense for remote locations. I mean, not for us, but I mean, I'm assuming that they would construct those for remote locations, not always rely on the battery. We have a couple that are battery operated.
Or the ones at the recycling centers, how are they powered?
I don't know.
Trudy's
Okay.
the person.
Okay.
Let me go get her.
I'll quiz.
She might be busy. I had passed out the agenda ahead of the start, and as well as a copy of an email that had been sent on to everyone regarding the request from Nick Pappas from St. Mary's School, holding the annual St. Mary cross country at Veronica Valley. We can draft a agreement and have them sign off on it. They're gonna,
Do we need a motion?
What's the date?
I think so, 10/16,
We need a motion from this group.
Let that run.
to the Parks Commission to approve it. This doesn't really have to go to the full board of commissioners.
I move that we okay the cross-country event that was forwarded to us by Laurel,
From St.
and
Mary's School.
recommend to the Parks and Rec Commission to okay same.
Well, should we state, other than a letter from Laurel, should we state from Nick Pate for the cross-country
Sure.
event for what school?
So recommended the Parks and Recreation Commission to approve the October 16th, 2021 cross-country meet, St. Mary Cross Country meet at Veronica Valley.
And you
So move.
might put the date, Wednesday, August 25th.
October 16th.
Oh, I'm just looking at the one here. Okay,
Yeah, the meet is on the 16th of October.
okay, good.
I second it.
We've done it before, they've taken care of everything.
Yeah.
We haven't had an issue from that event. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll pass that on today to the full commission.
Before you get going on your 2022 discussion, I don't know if it's possible. The county is going to be receiving $4.2 million in ARP funding. I don't know what is eligible or not, but then we also found out that there's a good chance the state might be matching that amount dollar for dollar. So there's a potential for us to receive $8.4 million. Right now, we know for sure we're firmly going to be getting $4.2 million. And once we figure out just what the specs are and what's qualifying as an expense to that, maybe the parks will be eligible for some funding.
Great idea.
Money's money, and it's going to be kind of all over the place, but I know that whatever affects the public primarily, it probably won't be all broadband that's going to be getting the money. There's a good chance parks might be able to get some money.
Yeah.
And that'll take some pressure off you from the Board of Commissioners.
But the Board of Commissioners will decide
Yes.
where that money is spent.
Right. But if you find out that parks could be eligible, you can draft some proposals, maybe even the paved loop system Miles is talking about, maybe the parking lot, I don't know, something.
But you really haven't been given the final paragraphs of what we can spend it on, have you?
Right, it's
No one has
coming.
got, in the
Right.
road, no one has.
No, but it's coming.
We just know something was coming.
Right. And I can tell you, judging from the book of requests that were made by other government entities, some of them are kind of parks related, so why not? There's some trail organizations that put in some requests.
Locally,
Mhm.
when you,
Or for the county.
so requests are already going into the county for?
Because we had an August 13th deadline to submit a 3-page proposal of what you'd like to have the board consider.
For those monies.
Right.
Did I miss that?
I think I have mentioned it at the last few meetings. And
Yeah, I never got that we needed to come up with a very specific plan, proposal.
well, I think that because you're county related, once, you'd be able to sneak something in there. It's because this is a county board, okay?
Okay. But, okay.
Because maintenance put a couple requests in, and it wasn't as fancy as some of the ones that we've received. No offense.
No. Untitled. Carpets, water buckets, general.
Well, okay, I guess my question is, are we behind the ball then if all these other requests have already gone in?
I don't think so,
No.
because the things that you would want a lot of funding for are kind of in the preliminary stages anyway. And the requests were basically writing down on a sheet of paper, we're thinking about doing this, can we have money to fund that? And we think it might be this much. So it can be that simple.
So they could get something to you? and you
To Chet.
put it in to
Yeah.
Chet?
Maybe we should make a list up during our Parks and Rec meeting, because Laurel's correct, we can say all we want now. But during our meeting here at 3 o'clock, we can say, let's put in for playground equipment, let's put in for parking lot, let's put in something that's gonna improve the people, I guess, or something.
It doesn't hurt to at least try.
Well, clearly, the large ticket item that we've already talked about is paving the parking lot,
We
resizing.
can put it in there and have them say no.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just headed, John, towards, just off the top of my head, thinking that might be our number one item for that kind of money.
Well, we hope to move forward with the entryway. That's different than a parking lot. The entryway is one, that's 15 grand. The parking lot was after that. And the Board of Commissioners didn't want to spring for the parking lot next year, but we've got it as one of the top three is the entryway. We got
Yeah.
a soccer pavilion for Miles Kimberly, playground equipment for those settlers, and a parking lot entry. And I think they kind of stopped at that, at the top three, and it was about it, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Well, yeah, John, and I had forgotten
From
about,
Laurel Evans.
I'd forgotten about the parking lot entry being another step beyond the culvert work.
Correct.
And-
The culvert's gotta get done, and when that culvert's done, then we gotta improve this entry so they don't fall in a creek and ditch and tear up the pavement also. There's stones all over. That was the reason
Sure.
we replaced the culvert.
Right.
But
And the estimated cost, that's 15, is,
we should talk about that at the committee meeting here in a half hour. And just write a letter to Chet and say, look at all this stuff, especially pickleball courts, that's recreation.
There will be a public hearing associated with the ARPA funding. They're looking at some date in October, but they're waiting for the budget to go through and get approved before they set that meeting date.
okay.
For what?
ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act.
But that public hearing, you're talking about at the state level or?
The county
Here.
level. yeah.
Okay,
Because they have to receive public input on the plan and how they plan on spending it. And it's just another hoop to jump through when you
Sure.
get funding.
no, I'm just trying to be clear on the process, but we're talking about a local public input session
Mhm.
Right.
in October.
Yes. Meeting date has to be determined.
The county's given this money, so the public hearing is gonna be a local
Got
public
it.
hearing.
Got it.
American Rescue Plan Act.
One thing that
Yes.
I missed that one.
we've always talked about since the first day we got Veronica Valley Park was a pavilion. And the initial idea was to use the existing building, the existing maintenance building, after it was decided. Well, the first idea was to use the existing trailer that was the sign-up building. And as it turned out, to put a restroom, accessible restroom in that single wide was a challenge to start with, number one, and number two, the cost of doing that was worth way more than the building and the deck was worth. So at that point, Parks and Rec Commission decided to give it away if anybody wanted to come and take it, and a neighbor did come down and take it apart and make it go away. So that went away. Then the idea was, well, we'll make the pavilion and the learning center out of that maintenance building, but the maintenance building, as it turned out, needed to be used as a maintenance building, and a building for the different pieces of equipment that are there and whatnot. So that went away. And since that point in time, we talked about a pavilion, which would be partially covered picnic table slab, partial meeting room, restrooms, and mechanical. And we had a person donate a plan for that. So that was on the boards, and when Will was a chair in Parks and Rec, we had decided to nibble away at that. And that's as far as we got with it. The idea being a slab and all the plumbing and electrical tubes, and what was needed for the slab to go in 1 year, and then the next year, the structure, kind of piecemeal to try to make it fit into the budget more. But that's as far as that went. But that's another thing at Veronica that's been in the mix from day one, is the learning center area. I just thought I'd throw that out. That's another thing at Veronica Valley.
Could I just add one more thing to your story? As you all probably know, that there's Bill Grant set up, 2 tanks? We had a tank or 2 tanks or 3 pumping stations, plus he has 2 drain fields way out to the northwest that he was gonna put a 50-seat restaurant. His plan was to be at the future. So if we have a septic system and whatnot in place at this point in time from that trailer, but also it was made bigger, there's tanks out there. So the center he's talking about, I mean, that we have
Some infrastructure.
the infrastructure, thank you, kind of in place, in part of it, so that's a plus. So if we ever go beyond what Steve's talking about.
So Steve, just to talk about it, what would you put higher? A pavilion, because that's a big ticket item, or a fully paved parking lot?
I guess for the parking lot, I'd do that at the steps. I'd have an appropriate base put down, 22A or 23A or whatever the appropriate base is, top dress with maybe 1 inch or 2 of 25A special compacted for the interim. That'll hold up well. Once it's compacted, it won't be gougeable by the snow plows so easily. Doesn't have to be as big as the one we have now, and it can be readily covered with asphalt whenever we decide. I think County Board of Commissioners would nibble at that versus going right for the asphalt. ADA, I don't know. We could look at what surfaces are acceptable. 25A special compacted all the way down to the stuff we're using for the walkway, which is a real fine compactable. There may be a number of surfaces that would satisfy the regulations for ADA, not
Well,
just a step below asphalt.
but if we're looking at roughly 15,000 to do the first layering and
Yeah, that's just the entrance.
curbing on the entrance,
Yeah, that's just the entrance.
that's pretty much, unless our budgets, the parks budgets change, that's pretty much next year's expenditure, is it not, for Veronica?
True, but, if we're talking about, what do we present to the board that, what's in your future, and, we can pretty much document the pavilion aspect. We can include the free plan, we can include, previous discussion, we can include that it was a conceptual idea from day one. And if we're talking about the money that's going to be provided to the county, and we're looking at the possibility of possibly getting some of that for the parks, it's another thing to ask for.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was trying to put him in a priority list in my head.
Yeah, I think
If-
parking lot, simple, not asphalt, is probably number 1, and pavilion is maybe number 2. I don't know,
Does the
maybe
county need
more trail
another,
work.
does the county need another pavilion at a park?
Well, I don't know if there, that's a good question.
Does the county what?
need another pavilion in the county, in this case at Veronica. I mean, we have one on the north side of Sutton's Bay, there's one at Herman. I wonder how much it'd be used as other than shade for a picnic table, well, or two, or
Well,
whatever.
we got quite a few points to purchase Veronica Valley with the concept of a learning center approach to what is there. It's all of the ecosystems that are there, the wetland ecosystem, the stream ecosystem, the pond ecosystem, all of the trees as an ecosystem, all of those systems would be presented in a learning format, in a learning center format, could be.
Well,
That was one of the concepts for the original purchase, but it doesn't have to be followed through on, it's just a concept.
no, we've talked about this before, and I know about the idea of the sliding panels and all that. Who's gonna do all that? Who's gonna create the educational panels,
Oh, true, yeah.
et cetera, et cetera?
That's a good point.
I mean, to make it a learning center, it has to be more than just a shade structure over a slab.
Yeah, where do you start, I guess? And
Yeah.
it seems like everything that we're gonna do from Parks and Rec Commission side is kind of a nibble approach. At Miles, we need a plan for the walking trail. We don't have a plan for that. We don't know where it's gonna go. We don't have an engineered plan that we could actually put out to bids. You know, and if we're gonna do learning centers, we need a place to do them. Can't do the learning centers first, you got to do the place first. So we kind of nibble at things. I don't know where you start, but I know what you're saying.
Well, and
It's a process.
And
So
so-
all those along the way.
Hi, Laurel.
Hi. Couple things. It sounds like you might want to approach perhaps partnerships with some of the groups that could provide you that expertise on training, such as the K-Charters group. I don't know if the...
Kate, well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, well, the bird thing and the flowers things, you could form partnerships with people that would help you figure out what you wanted to put in some sort of structure. The other thing I thought of was maybe create something on SurveyMonkey for each specific park with a QR code, so that people that are visiting could say, we want to know what you would like to see in this park. And if you scan this code in, it'll take you to a survey, and it would be specific to each park. And you could give them choices on some of the things that you're exploring, and then maybe ask for suggestions. Be a little more interactive on getting feedback from the people that go to each different park. That's a thought. I think we have a SurveyMonkey account. It's like a free account.
How is that advertised?
I would put it, you have a signboard, right? Do you have some sort of enclosed structure
Mhm.
to post stuff? I would put it right in there. I think each park has its own.
Yeah, for rules.
Yeah. And that would be something we could do on this end if it came to a survey. We just had to be able to draft some questions. Make it simple, nothing that would take more than 5 minutes, because people lose interest.
I think it's a good idea.
And as far as ARPA goes, the funding, one of the things that it has been promoting is infrastructure projects.
Where would we personally put on a priority list the paved trail at Miles Kimmerly, around Miles Kimmerly, versus full parking lot development or pavilion development at Veronica. Seems to me, Steve, that paved pathway at Miles has been talked about an awfully long time too. Well, John, you've been here equally long. But hasn't that been a priority there for quite some time?
Well, that paved loop trail, that's a pretty big item. You know, you're talking about $250,000
Hmm.
compared to paving a parking lot. I like Steve's idea of, let's get that entryway built and then have them come in and put gravel down per specs and stuff, and put that gravel right where Scott wants, or that John and I, we talked about where we want the parking lot to be, and we got enough of these fence posts now and, or whatever, and put it right there, because I was looking at the bid for putting that parking lot in. The gravel was only about $4,000 or $5,000 to put gravel down.
I think that's a good idea, Jen. I've thought that way for quite a while, that it'd be, if we wait to pave it, it'll be a long time. If we design the parking lot correctly, so that it, as Steve had talked about, it would be easily accessible and provided for loop circulation for buses. I was concerned about safety. So if we design it for that, leave it as a gravel base, not, so that it's safe now, and don't wait for pavement.
If we got some money, I'll do it next month.
Okay?
I'll get
Hey,
it done
good.
while Elmer's is there.
Okay, good. Well, I'll get together and we'll look at how you want to design the parking lot then.
I think we got the parking lot designed and stuff.
Okay, another thing with that, John, we can grade that gravel easily enough so we don't have the potholes, and we get proper drainage.
Prior to paving.
Yep.
And do all that.
Uh-huh. And that helps Scott on his plowing too.
But we're talking about doing this when? I mean, I'm thinking of, on what dollar? I mean, in this year's?
If there's any money, I'll do it this year.
That's always the issue, though.
We can put an addenda on that contract and go for it.
We don't have the money for that, do we?
We got 2 contracts that could get it done, one with road commission and one with Elmer's.
Sure. But again, we're spending the dollars we have in this year's budget on that, on the fishing walkway. I mean, in terms of our latest decision, we'd already committed the money to do the culvert work in a minimal fashion. I mean, I'm trying to sort out here, what are we talking about doing now, and what are we talking about for this October deadline of some request for, are you saying ARPA?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, for those ARPA funds. I'm just lost as to what the 4 of us are pushing for here.
Well, I think, maybe the next meeting, there'll be an opportunity to pipe up with some prioritized items possibly. I don't know if we need a bona fide list from this group or not.
I don't think so.
I don't know if we need a motion right now or not.
No, I don't know that we need a motion. I'm just trying to sort out the timing and the budgeting of the things we've talked about right here. We know we're getting the culvert in. We know that that's going to take some minimal reshaping of the entrance. I've been presuming that the entrance fix is in next year's budget.
Yeah, that's my assumption also.
But it's going to take a good chunk of that, so then do we have anything to peck away at the entire parking lot development? Does that push us another year?
I think as we approach that, for next year, that bid, and to see who's going to do it, we can talk about the gravel for the parking area that we want to hang on to as part of that project.
Part of the entry project, got it.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
We have 10 minutes left.
I really think unless either of you, any of you have some specific thing to add, I think we're clear enough for today. We can wrap this up because progress has to be made with the full commission meeting. So I'm going to be talking with Trudy about all the camera costs and retrieval of, the maintenance of cameras, looking at our garbage, our disposal cans. Also about the status of the new ortho photos and whether or not Rob's got that, and we can move ahead with the other signage plans that we have. And a Survey Monkey, I suspect that would really add to the public input quality
Yeah, and
of.
it doesn't cost anything. We can get it established, post something in each park, and people that visit the park would be able to participate. And we can post it on our website as well.
Let you and I confer a little more on that. I would entertain a motion for adjournment of our committee meeting.
You have to have
Oh.
public comment.
Public comment. Board member comment.
I'm good.
Now I will entertain that motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. The second came from John Walter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.